All right, welcome back to the deep dive. We've got a fascinating stack of source material that you, our listeners, sent over. And today we're really getting into some classic folklore from the British Isles.
We're talking about a creature that's, let's just say, deeply unsettling. A phantom hound, often known by names like Black Shell.
Black Shell, right? And often seen chillingly as a messenger of death.
Exactly. So our plan is to unpack what these sources actually say about it. Stick just to the details provided and figure out why this legend is so powerful, especially that messenger of death aspect.
Let's do it. So first things first, what does this thing look like according to the material? The descriptions are quite specific, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. The sources paint a picture of this massive, shaggy dog, really big, and it's always black, like pitch black.
Black as night, yeah. But the eyes seem key.
Definitely. They're described as huge, like saucers, apparently, and they glow.
Glow?
Yeah, glow this sort of terrifying red color in the dark. That image alone,
Yeah, that's properly spooky. Huge black dog, red glowing eyes.
And interestingly, the name changes depending on where you are, right?
Right, it does. The sources mention different regional names.
Right, like you said, Black Shell is used in Norfolk, according to this material. But then over in Lancashire, it's apparently called the Screamer.
The Screamer, okay, that adds a whole other layer of terror.
It does. And then in Yorkshire, the sources say it's known as the Wanderer.
Black Shell, Screamer, Wanderer, different names, but the core image seems pretty consistent, this terrifying black dog.
Exactly. The underlying description holds remarkably steady.
And what about its background? Where does it supposedly come from? The sources touch on lineage, right?
They do, yeah. There's this suggestion linking it to mythical origins. Specifically, it's believed by some, according to these texts, to be a descendant of the dog belonging to Odin.
Odin, the Norse god.
That's the one. God of war, among other things. So it connects this phantom hound to something really ancient, something primal, maybe linked to fate or conflict.
Wow. Okay. So not just some local ghost story, potentially much deeper roots in mythology.
Potentially, yeah, based on what's in these sources.
So if you were unfortunate enough to be wandering around, where would you most likely encounter it? The sources mention specific places.
Yes, they highlight these sort of transitional or wild locations, often seen on the seacoast, also in the central counties, and places like swamps and bogs.
Liminal spaces, almost. Edges.
Precisely. And it's described as roaming fields, particularly at night. It seems to target travelers, people caught out late, not quite home yet.
Right. Caught between safety and the wild, in the dark. Sets the scene perfectly.
It really does.
Because the sources then describe what happens if you actually meet its gaze, and it sounds horrifying.
This is where it gets really intense. The sources state that if you look into its eyes described as terrifying and cloudy, you just freeze.
Freeze, like paralyzed.
Yeah, completely mesmerized, unable to move. And then while you're frozen, the creature starts to change, begins to grow, apparently becoming enormous, as large as a big bull, the texts say.
Whoa. Frozen solid, watching this giant black dog swell up like a bull.
And then, just as suddenly, it dissolves, vanishes into thin air.
That moment must be pure terror. The paralysis, the scale, then. Nothing.
Absolutely. But the encounter isn't just a frightening experience, there's a consequence.
Ah, right. This is where the messenger of death part comes in, isn't it?
Exactly. The sources are very clear on this. Seeing the black shell, meeting its gaze, it's considered a definitive omen. For the person who has that encounter, well, their days are numbered.
So it's not just a scare, it's a sign that death is coming soon for you.
That's the core belief reported in these texts. Its appearance signals your impending end.
Okay, so let's just quickly recap what we've pulled from the sources here. You have this spectral hound known as Black Shell, Screamer, or Wanderer, depending on the region.
A huge, black, shaggy dog. Key features, those large, saucer-like eyes, glowing, fiery red.
And possibly descended from Odin's hound, so ancient mythical roots maybe.
Found in those wild, lonely places, coasts, swamps, fields at night, targeting travelers.
And the encounter itself. You meet its gaze, you freeze, it grows monstrously large like a bull, then vanishes.
And the ultimate chilling takeaway. This isn't just a ghost story. It's viewed as an omen, a direct message that death is near. A creepy ghost, yes, but fundamentally a messenger.
It's a really potent, terrifying image baked into folklore.
Definitely speaks to some deep-seated fears.
So wrapping this up, thinking about how consistent these descriptions are across different places and names. What fundamental human fear or maybe experience do you think this legend of the Black Shell might really tap into? Something to ponder after this deep dive.